involved with the mind, you are multiplicating these things.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to multiplicate them. You just want to be in peace with yourself and just be aware and be in a state of observer.
Let them be and let them go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So, and then there's the energetic body. This is the third of that first circle that it is what we refer to as the body. And the energetic body is what we practice moving when we're doing pranayama. Pranayama is, of course, we use breathing exercises, but we also use well, we can notice what our energetic level is throughout the day. You can move your energy with pranayama, but you can move your energy in various ways as well. Probably body work would be the best that I can think of. When you're doing, when, I don't know if any of you practice Reiki, or even if you're doing Tai Chi, or you're doing, you're working with the energy flow of the body in movement or in stillness. Because all of some of the major cultures of the world have different words for this energetic body. So Chi is one of them, Ki, Ru or Ruwa, and of course in Sanskrit they call it Prana. So it's the subtle energy of the body. And then in the middle circle is what they call the subtle body. This is where they define these words, mind, intellect, and ego, perhaps a little bit differently than we might have heard of them in other places. But the mind in this framework, the Adi Shankara framework, the mind indicates the receptor of the senses. So the mind is what receives sensory input. It's really, that's what they consider what they call the mind. And that's those exercises, mindfulness exercises we were just talking about. The intellect is the choice maker. It's the one that decides which of the sensory inputs are going to become conscious, we're going to become conscious of, and then connected with the ego, we decide which of the sensory inputs become a part of our identity. One way I like to explain this from my own life is that there was certainly a time in my life when I believed that I could never do anything right. When no matter what I did, it would never be good enough, and everything was, useless, or, Anyway, I had a pretty bad view of who I was. And at that time, if anyone gave me a compliment, I would say, no, or everyone could do that. It had nothing to do with me. Or in the depth of my belief, I would be like, well, they just don't really know. They don't know the real truth. Right? Has anybody ever had that kind of experience? Right? So that's the kind of association that was not allowing in sensory input that was not consistent with what I already believed to be true about myself. And it wasn't until I got a little bit more compassionate with myself and I did a little bit more self-inquiry and I gave myself a break that I was able to say, oh, okay, maybe that wasn't too bad, It's a gradual process, for sure. But if you believe yourself, for example, to be, well, it can work both ways, I guess, but if you believe yourself to be the kind of person who is always sick, you will always be sick. If you believe yourself to be the kind of person who people don't like, then you'll walk into neutral situations, social situations, and any kind of neutral, subtle social cue will be enough to reinforce to you your belief that nobody likes you. This is the kind of interaction that we look at this subtle sphere. This is what they call the software of the soul. This is where our actions create associations or memories, and those memories and associations create desires which fuel our other actions. And what this circle and what this view of existence says is that we tend to get caught up in just reinforcing what we already believe to be true. We tend to just allow into our conscious awareness things that we already believe to be true or want to be true. And this is where psychologically our suppression of our feelings and our denial of our feelings or denial of our own motivations plays such a big part. I mean, yeah. I incorporate this into my private counseling practice because every story is unique. And so each one of you are going to be providing an opportunity for your students to sit down and take an honest look at themselves, even for a short period of time, to try and give them the freedom to look.
Can you read the words on this side, or are they kind of unrelated to what you're talking about? Because I just tried to find my glasses, but...
Oh, sorry, yeah. Well, there's the, from top to bottom, it's the extended body is the environment. The personal body is what we call the physical body. The vital force is energy. The mind are emotions, feelings, and desires. Now, the emotions, feelings, and desires, I said the sensory input, but it's internal sensory input, like Jose was saying too in Vipassana. And then the intellect are our connections, our ideas, concepts, notions, beliefs, and discriminations. These are all the ways that we narrow down what it is that we will allow in.
Make conscious. It's what we decide to make conscious. And this is what you're referring to as the software of the soul.
Yeah, oh yes, yeah. We don't have that one here, the software, but that'll be, yeah.
It's really what we can, this is a place where Malaya taught me here.
Yes.
It's just a conscious choice of saying, okay, I choose not to associate myself with that thought anymore. I recognize that thought, and I'm move on to something else now.
Yeah, so important, because and this is where we recognize that it's not only about the power of positive thinking. Positive thinking is very important, but it's more like looking for the silver lining rather than imposing another layer of belief on top of layers that are already there. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, because you have to look for the proof to yourself that things are a little bit different, and be open to seeing it. That's the key.
Silver lining, you say, because I'm thinking also of like reverse engineering things. I'm starting to look at things a lot that way. Of everything is like form. Everything is form and everything is gross. And I try and work it backwards to the subtle, and just to understand like where's that coming from. And it's like, yeah, okay, that's limiting thought. That's doubt, and from that place I want to rephrase it and like reprogram and just not have that limiting thought anymore. And that's where I like the way that you phrased it. I like to think of this as a software that I can recode and just change my reality.
It's sort of like recognizing first that you have that repetitive thought, that habitual repetitive attitude or thought, and then being able to say, whoa, la, why do I think that?
No, really. It's like, okay, I recognize that, but it's not serving anymore.
Yes.
So we can change that.
Yes.
That sounds, what you just described, I'm just wondering I felt like it just made me wonder whether you integrate these types of like therapeutic models like CBT into your practice. I'm just curious.
Well, I know CBT, but to me I'm more like, I've always been more humanist existential. So yeah, we have to look at behavior, of course, but I would rather get under it.
Yeah.
So behavior is like the outer layer, and then we want to look at motivation, intentions.
What's CBT?
Cognitive behavior therapy. So it associates mind and behavior. It's really an excellent place to start. Do you practice too?
I just wonder whether, for me, I find it a little limiting because I get that it's very helpful for some people in some situations.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. But I also think that it can be very limiting because it tends to treat the thought as primary, and
Yeah,
that doesn't seem
yeah,
right to me.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Because I feel like emotions, I feel that the way I experience them is that they precede thoughts a lot of the time, and we're putting a layer of thought onto it, interpreting it a certain way.
Exactly.
So you feel the same way?
I do, because, I mean, we have to remember, okay, I thought for a second it was mine. But we have to remember that, like every therapeutic framework is just that. It's
Yeah.
just a therapeutic framework. It's a framework of thought that helps us, that gives us access to, so, but yeah, I do believe that emotions and thoughts are really difficult to,
Interconnected.
yeah.
I guess to separate them is a little bit like separating body and mind.
In a way, yeah, it's true, because it's very difficult to, because usually it's separate. But what I'll do in the meditations, is say, don't, when you're connecting with your heart, don't think about what it's called. It doesn't matter what it's called. But instead, maybe you could use qualitative words, like, is it heavy? Is it cold? Is it, is it prickly? And to get away from, this must be jealousy. At the first level, at least, just to feel.
Yeah.
Feel. Because we're so disconnected.
So to feel the physiological kind of, and then to think about what
After.
emotion.
Because ideas will come. Of course, we have, 50 to 80,000 thoughts a day. So, and we think in words as much as we think in feelings, but I think that, I guess all I'm saying is that I just try to help people reconnect with what the feeling is, first of all, more clearly, instead of just going directly to the thoughts and the idea and the old, patterns of thinking. Because we go there, we spend so much time there already, right? Okay. And then the ego is who we believe ourselves to be. And in a lot of spiritual or, personal growth frameworks, the ego, is almost treated as the enemy. But not in this one. It's not the enemy. It just is the way we interact with our environment, and we need it. We have to have a way to personify ourselves. But again, it's just about bringing awareness to that. It's just about bringing awareness to what are the positions that I hold dear? What are my possessions that I desperately have to connect to? And just become more aware of what I call myself. And I give you an example from, I'm going to retire in June from my day job, which is as a guidance counselor in a high school. I've been doing it for 25 years. And so now I have to reestablish who I am, because I don't answer that question that way anymore. I won't. So it seems like a small thing, but any time you recognize that you're emotionally caught and stuck, or you get an emotional reaction to someone challenging one of your beliefs, that is grist for the mill, as Ram Dass used to say. That is a point at which you can look at, do I really need to hold on to this, or can I let it go? Yeah, and that's a huge process.
That's a really critical point of changing our identity or letting go of the false identity.
Does it nurture you still? That's a question I ask myself. Does this still nurture me? Is this belief helpful to being the best being I can be in my environment? Yeah.
Grist for the mill, eh?
Oh, that's a great book too. That's an old one.
In French, what does that mean?
I don't know.
Well, je m'excuse, it's an old term too.
Yeah,
Exploring
grist is like
that in my
fodder.
head.
What was another? I don't know
It's
what
like
the word.
fodder, is it?
Moulin. It's actually a mill would be a moulin. Moulin.
C'est comme quelque chose pour nourrir le moulin. But the grist,
Oh, comme l'expression.
food for thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that a little
Mm,
bit like food for thought?
sort of, but it's more like what helps the transformation to happen. It's what
So
L'eau au
like
moulin,
accept
c'est pas
the
l'eau au
thought
moulin
first.
l'expression? Donner de l'eau au moulin? Oui,
Ah,
amener
d'eau au
de l'eau au
moulin,
moulin,
oui,
c'est ça.
ouais.
C'est ça l'expression dans le
What's
fond.
it called?
C'est amener de l'eau
De l'eau
au
au
moulin.
moulin.
Bring
Pour
water
le
to
faire
the mill.
fonctionner,
Oh,
amener
I
de
see.
l'eau au moulin.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Creates
But instead of
transformation.
the water that makes the mill that works on
The
water,
mill?
it would
Sorry?
be
It would be like the
The-
almost like
The grain.
the grain and the breakup of the grain.
Grain.
It would be the thing that assists breaking up the grain
Okay.
in the.
But
Sorry, I
similar
don't know the name.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a comment. But sometimes you still, by doing what's best for you, sometimes what would you have to say to when the reaction is, okay, well, I need to just let go of that
Like a,
situation or person or
Relationship,
job
maybe,
or
or-
whatever it is. So instead of just changing your thought about it, sometimes you have to let go of the thing itself. So how would you
Yeah.
make the distinction between both?
well, I think we always need to remember that we're not making any decisions in isolation. We are always making decisions in relation to the people around us too. But if we have found, if we've basically tried everything that we can and we find that a situation is still really unhealthy, then the best thing we can do is let go of it.
Mm.
And that's true, I think, of relationships and jobs.
Mm-hmm.
In rare occasions, it's true of even family associations. I mean, I have, in my practice, I've seen, you know, the last thing you want to do is let go of someone in your family, but if that person is abusive, then you have to,
Mm-hmm.
for your own, you have to set your own, so that then you can have healthy boundaries, have living with self-respect.
Mm-hmm. It's a balance between both, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you get from, I'm confused how we got
Oh.
from the topic we're at to boundaries, I'm just
I
wondering if
can,
you.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sure.
I just felt like
Yeah.
answering that.
Yeah.
Because I'm loving this because it's not easy. You make that decision, right? Like once you observe that limiting thought, how do you integrate that? Pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's very subtle, but it's so important. And you have to, I don't know if I'm interpreting it now, but in yourself, I think you have to identify that it's not serving you anymore. And once you do that, yeah, it's in relationship,
Yeah, I see.
if it's with other people, but I think from there, the form disappears, because it's in our head. I think like if I were to identify with a thought that's limiting, and then there are associations that are in relationship to that, as soon as I tell myself, okay, well, that's no longer serving, so I'm not gonna put my energy to it, and so I start putting my energy on something else, it actually disappears. Because I'm no longer in a relationship with it.
Because you have that ripple effect because you make the change, so you're not dropping that same stone into the same pond. If I can, yeah.
I'm not repeating that action
Yeah.
anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
I will stumble, because we're gonna be challenged with that all the time, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
disappear, it disappears for now. And if I were to say, like, if I meditate, it's not happening. And then I'm gonna be solicited to that action, and I'll have a choice to give it the attention and repeat, finally draw away from it more and more. I mean, I'm just seeing that that's how it's happening for myself. I'm thinking about this reverse engineering of how, you know, these habits are formed and how we can get out of them.
break them
And
down.
it's a choice every time. Right? It seems like there's more time, more space, less energy, they're less empowering on us, gradually more and more.
If I could add too, I think that what might help to, if I'm hearing you correctly, I think that it's also, if you have an insight where you recognize that a pattern that you're helping to maintain is actually an unhealthy pattern for, perhaps it's probably unhealthy for the other person as well, or the other part of the situation. So you're doing a service for all concerned by taking yourself out of the equation. Does that help too?
Yeah, I just have one thing I want to add to that, and it's a song by Buffy St. Marie that I heard this morning. It's Universal Soldier.
Oh
Anybody
yeah,
know that
yeah,
song?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's really, it really takes you to heart I'd recommend you listen to that
Yeah.
song, everybody. I'd like
It's a
to just share
universal
that with you
song.
right
What's the song
now.
again?
Universal Soldier.
Universal.
Yeah, Universal Soldier, it's by
Soldier.
Buffy Sainte-Marie, and it's so relevant for what we're saying right now, because we are that universal soldier, and we're contributing to our environment. Everything we do has ripple effect, and if we all choose to just follow instructions as they're given, by government, by employer, by those who have a hold on us in relationships, you know, we're contributing to this unconscious world, and it made me really, oh God, you know, I was feeling vulnerable on the way here this morning, because I know, you know, I'm coming to this place, and, you know, it puts us in that place, and I heard that song, and it
Yeah.
just kind of like broadsided me,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess it's relevant that that happened this morning, so I can share it with you,
Mhm.
because it's about the soldier who goes to some other place in the world, and, you know, without that universal soldier, that war wouldn't happen, you know, and so without, you know, Hitler wouldn't have done what he did if people hadn't supported him. So all of these universal soldiers, I mean, it applies in all matters of what we do.
And by focusing more on what we feel than what we want.
So bringing it
Thinking
back
that's
to,
the only-
to the heart and to the authentic, you know, what am I doing? Is it serving?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it's not serving others if it isn't serving me. And it's detrimental.
For
It's not
that
done
environment.
consciously.
Yeah, if we just operate it because we believe the fear that we're taught. The,
Very strong.
think of that song. Yeah, I know
Strong.
it. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm counting down. I've got about 20 minutes or so. I think we have some more time. Can someone help me with the? How much time do we have? Do you know?
It's 4 to noon. I don't know if someone was presenting or not, but
Mm-hmm.
was anyone
Who's presenting the yoga class today?
I'm confused about that. I mean, I could, I guess, but I'm confused because I thought, I don't know who Azalea is, but I thought she was going to. But I guess she's not here, so if,
Just from what Isabel said, is that in order for us to stay on schedule, it's important that there's always someone
who teaches?
who teaches, so that,
I
you
mean-
know, potentially would replace her slot with yours if you were to teach
Mm.
today.
Does it-
Would you be
anybody
okay
else
with
want to-
giving a 40-minute class,
And
maybe if
Ezra-
you still need 20 minutes?
Yes, that would
Remember
be
you
good.
last? So it was Shireen and then Azalia.
Oh, okay.
That's what I have written.
Sure, I've never seen that list, so I
And
have
then
no
we
idea.
start back again with Tara, Charles, Danielle,
But
Sarah.
basically, those people aren't here today? Oh,
Shireen is
yeah,
there.
'cause she would take their place.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we start back on.
Yeah.
Back on.
Sure.
Okay? So after you, it's either Azalia, if she's not there, it's Tara. If Tara is not there, it'll be Charles.
Okay, thanks for
Okay,
that.
so you're the next Charles, if they're not there.
On donne encore je donne
We
encore-
start, it's the second time around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is
we-
there y a-t-il un terme? Y a-t-il?
It's the same thing. You do again another presentation. It's
Pour débutants, pour intermédiaires.
Tu peux faire intermédiaire.
Ok.
It's to practice yourself, to be able to share what's your practice and to share it to other people.
Mhm.
And at the same time, it helps Dr. Belli to know what have you, where are you, at what point are you now at? What is your understanding and what he has teaches, what he has taught?
Teacher me.
What he has taught.
Versprechen.
So that's why we do another turnaround. Okay? So you're okay, Charles?
Ah,
Because if they're not there,
Ben, juste
we'll
savoir
go
à
on.
Ben ouais.
Hein?
Juste
Oui,
savoir
oui.
à l'avance, je me prépare pas.
Oui,
Ouais.
c'est pour ça que je l'ai
Stanley,
redit.
est-ce que t'as enseigné le premier
Take
cours?
Charles, then it's Danielle,
Are
after
you
Charles,
registered for the
and then it's going to be Sarah,
Can you send
Dalia.
the list to us all? Is that okay?
It's the same that the one before.
Okay.
But we don't have
Mais
it.
maybe
I've
don't
it
never
could be
have
seen
after
it. Yeah,
as
I've
well.
never seen
Okay.
Stanley est pas sur la liste, fait que peut-être avant de reprendre.
Okay, so we'll resend it to you guys, no problem.
Thank
Do
you.
you want to include
Yeah,
me on the
that's
list?
fine.
You're not on the list?
I'm not sure why, but maybe because I don't come every day, you know?
Do you want to do it then after Shireen, the next time if Azalia is not there? Are
Sure.
you okay?
Oh, you're already
I'll do it
teaching on
anytime.
She's like,
Tuesday.
he's already
You
teaching on
do
Tuesday,
it.
but
Sorry?
Teaching.
I'm teaching something else though.
Oh,
It's
you
not,
are.
it's not, I'm not
What
even
time are you
teaching that
teaching
class.
Tuesday?
unless I integrate,
What
maybe I
time
could.
are you supposed to teach on Tuesday already?
At 1800, at
Okay.
6 o'clock,
Yeah.
I'll come, and then I'll.
But is that too much? Do you not want to do everything one day?
It would maybe be more relevant if I did, I guess.
Okay, if
You know,
if
you're
you
just
choose
planting
it.
that seed now, and I'm thinking that's flourishing,
Okay.
so.
So Shireen is
I'll do it.
today, Stanley, you're on
I'll
Tuesday,
do Tuesday.
then Azalia, and then we start back over with Tara, Charles, Danielle, and we go on. Is everybody okay?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry about all the interruptions.
No, that's, I
Love it.
This is perfect. I really, I love these conversations, and I'm really happy that we can have them, and I think that whatever we needed to do, we're doing, that's
Yeah.
all.
So
we're
good,
good.
Sheila.
We're good,
So
it's
good.
so, I
You're
appreciate
fostering a
your
lot of
presence.
exchange, which is nice for us.
Mhm.
Thank you, that's, and you guys too, you're okay? Je m'excuse, je ne peux pas le faire en français, est-ce que c'est...
Oh,
c'est
English
ça?
is
perfect.
Well, okay, sorry, it's just that okay, good. You're okay though? You're doing well? I don't, because you're the only ones who haven't asked any questions, so I just wondered. Oh, no. Okay. Please, anytime.
They take in their info more meditatively.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, you notice that in this figure, it's sort of like an hourglass that narrows right under ego just before we get down into what's called the causal body. And the reason for that is that the danger is the negative side of what we call the ego. The danger is that sometimes you can cut yourself off from the causal body, which is that most subtle realm of existence. If you stick to your habitual beliefs and you narrow down your existence to all that you already know, and you get caught up in believing that the entire world should be this way, the whole world would be so much better if everybody thought like me. Or as a friend of mine said, this is me, this is the universe, right? So, that's the danger, where we cut ourselves off from other possibilities. But there's an opening in the figure because that's where meditation goes. And that's where contemplation goes. That's where the experience of reconnecting with our most subtle existence is. And that or what's called causal existence, is again in 3 layers. The personal soul, called the Atma, which is, which the Chopra Center says has a longer shelf life than the physical body. So, so the personal soul outlasts the physical body. But if we wanted to keep it within this lifetime, you can already recognize that the personal soul has already outlived the physical body, because the physical body changes every 4 years. So isn't that interesting? That brings up so many questions which no one really has answers for. For example, why is it then that people suffer from chronic illnesses?
His body's gone anyway.
Yeah, the body's completely different. Why do we suffer from chronic illnesses? Also, why do we grow older? And each of those lines of inquiry has been part of conversations that happen at the Chopra Center. And his conclusion, of course, is the same conclusion of Adi Shankara, that consciousness itself is primal. That the Atman holds the seeds of memories and desires that we carry from one physical existence into the next physical existence. And please take all the time that you need, because that one I just try and wrap my head around all the time.
I'm still, yeah.
Right.
Wouldn't it hurt to repeat that? Would you?
No.
Would you just repeat that?
Sure, that our seeds of memories and desires we carry with us, and they stay with us longer than our physical existence. And those seeds are planted perhaps over lifetimes, but even if we want to consider just this lifetime, those seeds are planted perhaps many, many years ago by an event that perhaps we don't even remember consciously. But it has become incorporated into the body-mind. This is another reason why it's so vitally important to reconnect with that depth of wisdom, because it's all there, but we're just not consciously aware of it. So the personal soul.
One more thing.
Oh, sure.
Consciousness itself is, did you say primal?
Yes.
Consciousness itself is primal. It has, consciousness itself is passing this on voluntarily, right?
Thoughts
What's
become
that?
things is another, like, it's, yeah, it's, and you know, even, like, I hesitate because even the word consciousness is limitation, because we have different associations with that word as well.
Yeah.
But when you get to the universal, there are no names, you know, and so, but a very interesting parallel between the two. But first I'll go into, we'll do collective. Collective is the field of religions. It's the field of mythology. It's the field of our myths and our heroes, our heroines. It's the field of our grand stories that last generations and inform our cultural realities. So that's that field. Myths are archetypes, are gods and goddesses. And there are many really interesting authors about those. One of my heroes is Joseph Campbell, who you might have heard of. Joseph Campbell made it his life's work to travel the world interviewing disappearing indigenous cultures. And he wrote, his seminal work was called Hero with 1,000 Faces, because one of the things that Joseph Campbell learned was that in cultures that were vast distances geographically apart, that would really have no way of physically communicating, they still had common mythologies. And the hero myth being one of those, and he was able to identify the common elements of the hero myth and to write that as a story.
Another guy.
Yeah. And it's just like wonderful to just listen to him talk. And at one point, I understand that Joseph Campbell met C.G. Jung, met Carl Jung. So wouldn't you have liked to have been a fly on the wall at that conversation? Because apparently they informed each other's work, so the collective subconscious became part of that conversation. It's great, eh? It's really wonderful. But anyway, so that's the collective soul. And then, of course, there's the universal, which really is beyond names, really, but we have to give it names because we need the names, not because it needs names. And Deepak usually explains it this way with Vedic terms. Water cannot wet it, wind cannot dry it, weapons cannot shatter it, fire cannot burn it. It is eternal, it was unborn, it never dies. So now in quantum physics, when they started to take apart solid objects and look at smaller and smaller and smaller units of physical reality, so you get, the molecules and then the atoms and then the subatomic particles. The deeper they go, the deeper they had to postulate, because what they found was less physically identifiable reality, less that they could point to and say that's an object, because they even found that that neutrons and protons and electrons were flashing in and out of reality. So where's reality? Where is physical reality? And then they would postulate that there is what's called a quantum field, and the terms that they used to explain a quantum field were that it was acausal, non-local, quantum mechanical, interrelatedness. So acausal, it has no beginning and no end. Non-local, it's not in any one place. It is literally universal, in the same way that the ocean is universal to the tip of an iceberg. quantum mechanical, it's at the finest, smallest, most undiscernible level of reality. And interrelatedness, it is constantly in interaction and subjecting each other. Each part of it is in relation to everything else. Interrelatedness, yeah. And so you just put those two definitions together. You can't help it, you know? So acausal, quantum mechanical, acausal, non-local, quantum mechanical interrelatedness. Water cannot wet it, wind cannot dry it, fire cannot burn it, weapons cannot shatter it. It is eternal, unborn, it never dies. And that's what the universal level of reality is. And yeah, take as long as you need with that too. Because that's, you know, I just love entertaining these ideas and these concepts, but you carry them around with you. They become part of how you see the reality that you live every day. And it just opens possibilities.
We, universal level of reality, i.e. consciousness, i.e. life source, i.e.
Reverse a level of reality?
No, sorry, the universal level of reality, is that what you called it?
Yes, yeah. Universal is at the level at the bottom, which is infinite.
Universal level of reality.
Oh,
it means the smallest particle of essence of life. Is that what it is?
But because it's interrelated, it is one.
Sure, it is anyway, yeah. Sure, minute and fully expansive, the whole as well. So I can't say it's the smallest.
Yeah, because there's no separation.
Yeah.
It's more like the ripples in an ocean.
I'm trying to understand the expression universal level of reality. Why am I not understanding those
Well.
words together?
Sorry.
Universal level. Yeah.
I don't know. That's just, it's so huge.
Reality is universal anyway.
Yeah. Well, it just speaks to that
Yeah.
interrelatedness. That.
Yeah, I get it now.
Past
And
or
but
individual.
Like the
but you know,
common
it's
thing.
not that. But you know why?
It's
Actually.
like the common thing that it's what the consciousness has in common, all those aspects.
But Stanley, though, thank you for asking the question, though, because what you're reminding us is that it's not the mind that gets us there. It's not the mind that gets us there. This is a higher level of consciousness, if you like, which we access through regular practice of meditation and through our intentions and desires to understand or to experience, not just understand in the intellectual sense, but to experience the fullness of reality. And I can't claim to be there myself. I just feel it.
Process.
Yeah,
It's a process.
yeah.
One of the things that strikes me and just how Western medicine goes through the mind in order to understand the mind, in order to find what's wrong with it, and